Taylor, who's going to make all of us famous here off of this video, we've raised $40,000 off of our last two events with these types of efforts 3 years ago to gain momentum in our community. So I'm going to ask if everyone can go around really quickly, and just quickly though, give your name. Tell us what your expectations of this session was when you heard about it. What in the world was Regional Ron Jimerson, Caesar Promise talking about? What were you expecting today? And then tell us one of your first thoughts that come to mind when you think of change management. So those three items, and I'll start again. My name is Regional Thomas, CEO of Caesar Promise. If I were to share a community concern, that would be a lack of leaders' ability and mothers and fathers' ability to have critical conversations, constructive critical conversations. And what was the first question I wanted you guys to think about also, your expectations of today? My expectation of today is that you really give us a chance when you have a chance to share. If you can take that chance with us today and share honestly, knowing that this is not a debate, it's called a listening session. And we really would hope you would take a chance to give us some quality data, because we like to take the information that you share and we give it to the experts and let them bake up what they believe should be ways forward. And then finally, that third question, change management. What do I know about change management? People like me, I've built a career living in change management, and then here's what I would say. Half the time, if we do a better job listening to each other, half of our issues generally are out the door. But I feel that oftentimes when it comes to change management, we haven't done that good work up front of listening effectively. Okay, that's me. And we got to do this quickly, folks, if we're going to stay on time. So who's up next?
Maria. Oh, my name's Maria. I work at Ramsey Tower Apartments. It's a senior site. What I expect from this meeting is to learn more, obviously, about P.E.A.C.E Promise and any other tools that I could utilize where I work. Time management, learning how, just like you said, active listening, learning other tools to assist and empower the people I work with to complete the change that they want in their lives.
Thank you.
I am Ms. Bishop, and I am a court. I'm a court advocate, and we work going to court with different people to support them in any way we can in the community. So, court community advocate. At any rate, no, just looking to see what P.E.A.C.E Promises is doing and how they're continuing to go forward positively in changing the trajectory of the residencies as far as for the Black community. Yeah, it would be nice for everybody, but we know the disparity for the Black community, so I'll speak first for that because everybody else will fall in line. As well, I really didn't know anything about this meeting, but I am here and just want to see what I can support and what ideas I can give. You're not good, because I'll go in if y'all want. Let's make me.
You want to go? Yes, sir, absolutely.
Well, my name is Maurice Baker. I'm the Assistant Vice President of Independent Bank Mortgage, and I'm also what we call a community relationship banker. So what I see of some form of improvement within the community is financial literacy. Understanding, comprehending what's the importance of credit, what's the importance of budgeting. Because as we know, and we've heard it so many times before, we don't know what we don't know. That's number one. Then also number two, what I'm looking to gather and gain from this meeting. I love the brother here. I love Caesar Promise. I know what they're doing. I'm backing him 100, 2,000%. And what he's bringing to the table is a form of education is that people receive in big time cities. And he's bringing this home. So I'm looking to learn from him. I might be 1,000 years older than him, but yet I can still learn from this brother right here. So I appreciate the opportunity of coming here. I appreciate you, and I appreciate what Seeds of Promise is doing. So whatever you need, you know I got you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Erin Shibley. I work over at Mount Mercy Apartments. That is senior living, subsidized housing. I have heard of Seeds of Promise, but I really had no clue what you guys were about, so I'm really interested to hear, and your story was amazing. I'm very intrigued by that, and especially the bottom up that you talked about. I think that is amazing, and how that could maybe be incorporated into change and management. I think that's fantastic.
Good. My name is Jando Karaguye, and I work for Bethany Christian Services. I have been some weeks that I was transitioning from the position of community engagement coordinator to post-restoration case manager, working with the refugees, my fellow other refugees in the community. So basically, excuse myself. English is my fifth language, and I work for Kent County as well as community connector, where I think we met with Brother Thomas. And my expectation today is to learn more about City of Promise. It has a very nice name. I have been attracted by that name. It's a really good promise. I mean, a seed has been to grow. So, and to learn about the promise, the resources we provide, so that maybe it can be connected with my refugees communities as well. We still have some gaps about we have gap of available resources around to connect refugees with resources available in counties and everywhere that we have in Grand Rapids. So the last question is
And change management,
change management, yeah, people struggle with to adapt, to change. Change comes with a lot of stuff that people can't cope with. So the strategy is to adapt that change. So if you don't adapt that change, the change will crush you. So how can you breathe that change so that you can embrace that change in a positive way? So I think that takeaway and be transferred to my community.
That is awesome. Jono, thank you for that. Thank you for being out here today. You're really getting to the core of what we want to get at. I don't think everyone else kind of gave us their reflection on change management though. Could we just go back to those individuals? One thought, when you think of change management.
Changing management is a good idea.
A lot of times.
I think a lot of change needs to start at the management level. That's just my thought when I first think of it.
Outstanding. Change starts at the management level. Great concept. Yes, sir. Just a thought on change management.
Adaptability, being able to cope, being able to accept change, and also being able to accept things that you cannot change.
That's
Outstanding. Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. Just thought, change management.
change starts with those people who need to put their money where their mouth is, and those investors, those people who want to come into the community, and don't want to get nothing. Yeah, apparently we've got to juice them out, you know what I'm saying? Because they're not going to be here if you don't want to, make this thing work for all of us,
Thank you. We say that too. As seeds change starts with the person looking in the mirror. And if it were easy, everybody'd be doing it good, and most of us are not. But we firmly believe, and this is gonna be the magic of today's session though, if there's nothing else you remember after today, remember the power of listening. Active listening. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. I don't know if we got yours either.
Yeah.
Reflection on change management.
Pretty much as he said, just being adaptable, being flexible, and knowing that change takes time to change continually.
Easy said, and remember, we're a bottoms-up organization, not top-down, so this conversation is gonna feel a little bit different. Absolutely. Easy said. It's funny how we all know that coming into the game, right? But when it starts happening, it gets personal, right? Okay, who's next?
I'm Eric Turkleski. I'm a resident services specialist at Adams Park. We serve adults 18 and older with disability or 62 and older. So we have a very unique, diverse population at Adams. And I've heard of Seeds of Promise. I'm really excited that Barry was able to make this connection so we could be hearing more and more about your organization. And I would love to find a way to really empower my residents at Adams Park to want to make those changes and be and do better for themselves than they already are. My change management, I think, is about, I think back to motivational interviewing and what the first concept is, what is your overall goal? What's your mountaintop goal? And then helping individuals work through that. And I think change management helps it could help in that way in identifying who you are as a person and being able to identify what you see in others to help them grow to what they want.
That's why I believe in the concept of andragogy, and that's why I will rip most operators and vice presidents behind that I compete against, because they stayed, they understood what leadership and mission was. But when I would meet with many of their staff, they would struggle to articulate examples of how they experienced it. The mission on your agenda, did I include the proper mission for your organization? Is that your mission there? Because that's exactly our guiding light for today's conversation, your mission, because we have so much respect for it. Thank you, sir. That was outstanding. Thank you very much. Who's next? Yes, yeah.
I'm Gregory. I work at the family sites, which is Camp Off Commons in Creston Plaza. And scatter sites, which are homes within the Grand Rapids community. They're Grand Rapids Housing Commission homes. I'm definitely excited for us working with Seeds of Promise. I'm excited for what it will bring to not only our families, but to our community. And the collaborative efforts that we can bring together. And when it comes to change management, I think one of the things is communication, but also follow through. I think a lot of times we want to create change, but we don't want to properly communicate that change to the residents and to the people. And then also that follow through is very important as well. Just to again ease their suspicions on that change. So I think the communication and follow through I think is very important when it comes to change management.
I do too, Mr. Mason. That's why I found it ironic 3 years ago when I chose to come to this area. One reason I chose is because I knew that the county and the city were thinking about and discussing whether or not they would make this proclamation about racism in the city. And when they did it, it blew my mind. I started packing my bags. I was down in Florida already. It was after George Floyd and COVID, and I had already decided I'm done with my career in Florida. Everybody were going through their own trauma. I was going through my own, watching videos and just watching my own uncle, father, grandfather, cousins, black males growing up with the kind of frustration in their lives because people weren't following through on their commitments. They go to school, the school have a mission, not feeling it. They go to work, the work have mission, value statements, and how many of our employees in this town are really feeling those things. And the worst part about it was then we turn around and we find that there may not be any real representation. We may not even have access to the legal representation to defend ourselves. It's a shame, not following through. That's one of the main things we tell people in our community. We're gonna work harder than everybody in this community because we know when we tell our residents the truth and they feel it, it gives them a better chance to follow through. And the only people that are gonna make that happen are the mothers and fathers in the community. Thank you, sir. Who's next?
Hi, my name is Lee, and I'm at Leonard Terrace Department. So I work with seniors 55 and 62 with a disability. For me, it's just seeing what Seeds of Promise is and how you guys work and how you're going to help us to incorporate this with our organization or at my site at Leonard Terrace and change management, consistency, just having consistency. That's just so important.
Not easy, huh? Might be consistent for a week. I might give you 21 days. because that's supposed to mean I've changed, right? 3 years ago, the city and the county did claim racism as a public safety crisis. And I'm still asking leaders here, who's on that? Where are we at? How are we doing? Because you definitely can't manage what you don't even measure. Thank you. Next.
Hello, everyone. I am Natasha Mayberry. Excuse me. I work at Hope Community, and we house families who have experienced homelessness. I guess I didn't really know what to expect. My boss spoke highly of Seeds of Promise, but she never shared anything. I think that was for a good reason. She wanted to just come with an open mind. But now that I'm here, I am, what my coworker just said, trying to see how I can benefit you guys, first of all, and how your organization will also benefit my role as well as the residents that we serve. And when I think about change management, I would have to say definitely effective communication, involvement, that's individual as well as a community and organizations, and reinforcement, definitely reinforcement.
To me, part of effective communications is honesty, integrity, right? I think about that a lot when I'm sitting in these rooms. Because as a bottoms-up organization, like many of us, we have experiences. The difference with Seeds is we want to share them publicly with people. And that's part of what we're doing here, is setting the table after 3 years of continuing to have these critical conversations. And not only am I going to give you a nice gift, but the results are probably going to blow you away, just like the results we get out of today. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Vicki Harris, and as a board member of Seeds of Promise, I'm here to really listen and learn your needs and how we can come alongside and help and support. So that's my expectation. And also for change management, I really see change management as the process that it takes. It's going to take humility to get to collaboration, because otherwise you can't get to the desired results that you want to work out in the organization, in anything, really, if you can't collaborate and really have humility on both sides to listen.
Humility, collaboration again. And Dr. Harris is one of the most, I'm learning from her, humble people that you're gonna find. Exceptionally, where were you just coming from, Dr. Harris, doing your work?
London.
London. And what were you saying about maybe, what was your advice about being an American out
Well,
there?
you might want to tell them that you're from Canada. That's what they told me. And be humble.
Dr. Vicki, Dr. Harris is an example of John Doe, who's here. Maurice, people that for years since I've been in this town, I race around the streets trying to find people that we feel understand our mission and are committed to our mission and are willing to be consistent with that mission. And so after 3 years of coming here because of Seeds of Promise and Mr. Jimerson, who has been out here for almost 20 years, I was brokenhearted when I got here, knowing that I found him trying to do research on the oracles in our country and internationally that do this work. And then to get up here and have a chance to meet him and start working with him again, I was recruited for another job. I left that job because I'm still traumatized. I can barely have these discussions about equity, diversity, and inclusion, what I'm saying, but half the answers under your nose, you're not listening.
Exactly.
And then I have to turn around knowing that we're a bottoms-up organization, look at our residents saying, you're not being consistent enough. You're not doing the things that you said you were going to do. Because if you're not doing them, how in the world do you think you're gonna have any credibility with anyone else? And why should anybody listen to you? If I'm a commissioner, I'm not gonna be listening to residents who are running down with half-baked down with their emotions when we all know that that's probably not the best time for me to be saying anything. When I'm emotional, I'm gonna go lay down. And that's what we're gonna ask you here today in this discussion. We want a discussion of the mind and heart. And just, if you don't have anything good to go, do like we always said, just don't say nothing. Next.
Hello, my name is Joyce Williams. I am the Resident Services Manager here at Grand Rapids Housing Commission. I am also the sole proprietor of a private practice for therapy. So, what do I know about Seeds of Promise? Well, I was introduced to Seeds of Promise through my staff, Gregory, who had found Reginald through his search for partnerships. And I was absolutely blown away just having a discussion with him. I think Gregory said Reginald and I kind of just jumped into a whole world of our own. And he was sitting there going, you know, he provided a lot of confirmation for the way I think and the way I believe things should be handled. And so for that, I was like, oh, I'm married to this partnership now. I love it. So I look forward to how we can, as Grand Rapids Housing Commission, partner with you all to provide not only for our residents, for ourselves, a better way of viewing things and how we can apply the tools in which you put down. Okay, so time management. I'm going to take two perspectives. Okay, I'm coming from a micro concept and a meso. So, microly speaking, individually, when I think about time management, I think about managing time management. I think about change management. I think about this. Change happens and it happens inevitably. And it's inevitably going to change. I learned that concept when I lived in Tennessee, going to University of Tennessee out there. It was how do you accept? So the acceptance of change within yourself. What is it about this change that I can control? And what is it about this change that I cannot control? And what I cannot control, I want to kind of let it go and focus on the things that I can control so I can apply what I need to apply to get through this change, whether I like the change or not. It is important that I stand firm in making the change work as best I can for me and still have a voice to say, I disagree with this, or I do not accept that, but this is how I can get that done. So change is gonna happen whether we want it to or not. When COVID hit and they said, hey, you're gonna go work from home, I was working for another organization, we had a whole therapy session with our psychotherapist came into the team and he said, how are you feeling? I say, I don't know, because this change doesn't disrupt me. I have a switch that goes, oh, this is changing, switch over, gotta get this done. But I know that's me and everybody doesn't operate that way. And it took me a long time to get there because I do live by the why factor. If I don't understand the why, how can I do? So I had to learn how to figure out how to accept the why factor when I don't have a clear answer for myself. How can I function? What can I control? Now, from the other perspective, I'm going to say, I agree with everything that has been said. Communication is absolutely the key. Follow through is necessary and consistency is a must. If we don't have those things, if the people at the top don't apply so that the people, whether it's the staff or the residents, see how this change has been implemented and how this change can be beneficial, then why would I even want to change? Because everybody doesn't have that switch. And so since everybody doesn't have that switch, we have to ignite it. And so when Eric talks about motivational interviewing, that is something that we utilize to help our residents try to get to that point of, yes, I see that I need to change. We may not get everyone, but if we can get 1 out of 50, we have done our job because we are definitely outnumbered by the residents, just like our employers are outnumbered by us. And so I asked for this topic for the fact that we have a plethora of change that happens constantly. And it's switching. We can just get into something and it's another change. And I want us to be able not to say that we don't have a voice, because we will be heard, but we also have an area where that's something that's out of our control. How can we push through this and not feel like we're being mistreated or burdened? And if we are being mistreated, we can have that voice to speak up and speak out.
Absolutely. And Ms. Williams, your expectations of today's session again?
Just what I said, to us to find out how to apply this aspect of change. How do we apply it? How do we make it a part of our DNA? How do we make it part of our everyday, okay, this thing is happening. All right, this is what I don't like about it. And I hope I do a good job with allowing the people I supervised to speak out about what is disruptive or uncomfortable about that change. And I hope that I can help guide them into standing in that uncomfortableness, in that change, so they can show that they are just as great as anyone else in this type of position and can push through.
Yeah, my career, part of my career, I spent a lot of time coaching executives in the C-suite. State College of Florida, before coming here, I was only the equity officer at the State College of Florida, traveling up to Tallahassee, working with leaders, moving equity, diversity, and inclusion initiatives. Where did I say I was at?
State College.
Florida.
Look, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's where I was at 4 years while they were doing what? What we're doing on the national scene already. Imagine that environment, and I loved it. I loved it. I loved it because I love showing people that you always have agency. And Army ants will always do what an individual cannot. So when we have the type of change in our communities or conditions that are not changing as we want, I talk about the 360 degrees of responsibility. Just remember that too. Yeah, that's something to think about, right? You got it. The 300, because if I were a commissioner downtown, who do you think I'm gonna listen to once I'm elected? The resident who's gonna show up on Tuesday at 7, a couple times in a month, or that businessman that's got his legal squad down at every subcommittee meeting, every major meeting, knocking on my doors. Me and Mr. Jemison will be meeting with the mayor, because we regularly, I go to dinner with the city manager sometime a couple of years ago. I live downtown because I gotta understand what's going on in the business community. So I can start helping my community. Every time I would come in the community talking to leaders, I'm like, do you know the difference between a civil rights attorney and a civil litigation? I was referred to a civil litigation attorney here shortly after being very introduced here in a very West Michigan nice way, and was shocked. Yeah, and I mean, I wasn't shocked that these things happened. I was shocked again. My first shock was that Mr. Jefferson, of his ilk and background in this town and his legacy, we had less than a quarter of funding 3 years ago before we had to close doors and we weren't getting support in this community. Blew my mind. Second was as I started to talk to leaders and asking them questions like, have you read the city's strategic plan or the police department? Because I see you in these meetings passing information on to residents that I'm not sure is accurate. And now I'm totally sure that we got a challenge here because leaders were referring me to civil litigation attorneys when I was asking for a civil rights attorney. Then I finally found in the second largest city in the state of Michigan, the average resident doesn't even have access. So I'm asking leaders, what are we doing out here? So at any rate, just a long way of just saying change is not easy, even when we all know what needs to be done. We got a lot of people contributing to the issues. And the person looking in the mirror better be the best person putting in the work to try to figure this stuff out with help. Because we're listening. And when you listen, you don't need to spend a lot of time doing nothing else other than talking. And that's what I would tell my leaders too. Sometimes if that change doesn't happen the way you're wanting it to happen is, you gotta do a better job of listening, because I've just sat with you and experienced the same thing. And that's a hard pill to swallow for people. But I tell them, that's why you're a leader. You're supposed to be able to handle that. Next.
Yeah, I'll go real quickly. I've already given a bit of introduction, but I'm Ron Jurgensen. I'm one of the co-founders of Seeds of Promise. And one of the things to understand that Seeds is not faith-based or faith-directed. I don't care what denomination you are, what your creed, as long as you have a heart for wanting to help the poor and the needy, then you can be a part of this organization. And then when you talk about a change agent, Seeds is a bottom-up again, rather than a top-down. That is a huge change. And it took Kellogg's almost a whole year to fund this. They couldn't find another organization like us in Missouri. And then to be a 501(c) that's written up in the United Nations magazine speaks a lot of volume. And then to have a banker here, and I appreciate you coming, when we're talking about teaching our folks how to manage money. A change, we want to take them to that next level also, is how to invest your money. That's where prosperity comes in. I taught my grandkid 4 years ago on how to invest in the stock market. And he's doing well. He's a single parent raising 3 kids by himself, working 2 jobs. got community investment. But we have to look at different ways and not just be set in it. Because all of our bankers, partners, with the exception of him, they all, promise, we'll teach you money management. My thing is, yes, let's teach you money management. Let's take them to the next level and teach them how to invest. That's where prosperity comes in. And so that's what we talk about when we talk about making change and coming up with changeable, ideals. And the last thing I just want to comment on is when you look at the three building words, the seeds of promise. And again, I told you we're faith directed, we're not faith based. It's God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I take no credit for anything that I do because all of my business and what have you come from God. And that's one of the reasons why the person who's an ex-offender, drug dealer, now has a facility named after him. So I know this whole process works. We just got to move it and push it forward. Yeah.
My name is Shirley Carter. I've been a member of P.E.A.C.E Promise for probably over 7 years, and on the board. Started off as it's just a community, just trying to get involved with the community. Mr. Jameson encouraged me to, stay at it, to just find out really how we can get there. And as far as change management goes, it's just been a journey. Just, it's a journey to have to pull other organizations in, other people who's trying to work with the community when it comes to housing mostly, and just get to that goal. And our goal, of course, is to add to whatever we can to people being able to be housed, to be able to be homeowners to some extent. Also, and I guess what I just want to get out of the meeting is to know that there's people that want to work with us, not people who just want to ride at their own expense and get their own type of word out there. Someone who can bring something to the table so that it can be bigger and better.
Yes, I go. My name is Derek, and I've been with Seeds for I think going on 4 years now. I got with this organization because I wanted to help change. I also wanted to be a prime example for my family that, what I do, if you do. When I think of change management, I think of a smooth transaction between pretty much it.
Thank you, sir.
I'll go. I think I'm the last one here, so I'll try to wrap it up. I got a sneak peek at all the good answers from everybody else. I speak last. So my name is Kevin Jackson. I work for the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. I used to be an investigator, spent 12 years as an investigator, and now in community engagement and education. So I get to go around and share the mission of the department and what that work is, which is primarily investigation. The largest part of our department is investigators. We do fair housing investigations. We work with we have federal partnerships with P.E.A.C.E, which you can imagine some of those changed a little bit, but that's the nature of the work I do. I originally learned about Seeds of Promise a little over a decade ago. Was introduced to it through a host neighbor. I'm not sure if that program is still there, but they had a host neighbor program, a very bottom up initiative, going out and training folks in the neighborhood how to, govern themselves, how to advocate on their own behalf. And I was just kind of blown away by the amount of information that he was giving to folks and trying to support. Had his vision on a lot of different things. I remember going into his office and he had the map of the city and he had like a crime map on there. And he was, plotting out how to decrease these incidents, and he just really had a very holistic approach to wrapping his arms around the community. I just fell in love with it right away, and have tried to support it where I can and tie it back to some of our department's initiatives where I can. And so I've just always been a fan of See the Promise and the work they do and how they do it. So when I met Reginald and he offered me the opportunity to come in and listen, it was a no-brainer. And he got to contribute. Definitely wanted to do that. My expectations are, the same they always have been. I'm always expecting to See the Promise to be in a leadership capacity, forward thinking, and to have their finger on the pulse to know what's going on around them. So that, that's my expectation, is to just be a part of something that's going to be fruitful. And then change management. A lot of different thoughts came to mind about change management. A couple things I brought their momentum, and speaking about momentum, it's think of a pendulum kind of going back and forth. You gotta think of a car and stuck in the mud, right? You're trying to get out of the mud, so you have to rock the car back and forth a few times before you get enough momentum to actually get over the hump and out the hole. And think about that. We make progress, steps forward, things backslide, but you can't really be discouraged in that regression. Sometimes you gotta keep those wheels turning and trying to keep the momentum going to eventually push us up and over whatever that hump is. That, and then pain management, right? Because change is uncomfortable and sometimes can be painful. You have multiple people involved, and so what may be changing for one person in a way that their perspective is positive may be changing for someone else in a way that is negative. So trying to manage all of that, I think is paramount to get people to buy into it, to understand why it may be painful for them, but maybe in the long term it would be better. And then delusion, being delusional about it. Sometimes you have to see things and want things that don't seem attainable, right? From the position that you're in, and having that belief that you can, rock yourself out of that hole eventually. But if you don't have that, you may just not, continue with your efforts. So those are some thoughts that I had.
I'm just over here smiling behind Mr. Jackson because, there's certain people in your life, and what's your name again, sir?
Eric.
There's certain people in your life, sometimes you have to look for brothers in life that really, you don't know why you just connect with them. So I walk into, is it All-Pac, sir? And it takes someone with Mr. Jackson's vision of what's going on with equity, diversity, and inclusion right now from a state level to share some of the comments he did that are very important. And Mr. Senator, I'm going to ask you to come up, sir, and ask you to introduce yourself. If you want to talk about host neighbor ambassador leaders, that's one. Yeah, we're still doing that. Mr. Jackson also mentioned, because again, I'm talking about one of the things that we understand is we have to sustain the leaders. And that means that, we've got this even newer concept this year. First, just taking care of people on the team first. When we check in on our monthly host neighbor ambassador leadership team, sir, what is your concern? It's also allowing us to be more vulnerable, and it's really strengthening us, and that little nucleus is what we continue to see ripple off and have ripple effect with other people. And we'd rather have that type of growth because we're not out here trying to do anything except take care of people. And that means everybody that I'm in contact with every day, we want to know how you're doing, and that is the core of our organization, the host neighbor ambassador leadership team, where we find resident leaders who want to be held accountable for the communities that we live in. Mr. Jackson also mentioned data and researchers. That's the reason I love Seeds of Promise, because we are researchers. I told you I was somewhere, I might have been in Warsaw, Poland, I don't know, when I heard about Seeds of Promise doing research. People like Jeffrey Canada. Anybody heard about Jeffrey Canada? Those are the people I know. Ron Jemerson. So Michigan, after George Floyd, again, where do I want to go? Well, I need to go home where I can be around some people where I can kind of nourish myself. Detroit is the blackest city, as far as I know, in the country. anybody that started Motown, and then I thought about Model Ts. What diversity? We had Mr. Ford, we had Motown, and right here in the middle of the heart of the country, we have had some of the most diverse and most successful accomplishments around equity, diversity, and inclusion. And what I believe it requires is to find your brothers and your sisters that really believe in what you believe in. And just like Mr. Jackson says, and Miss Williams, I can't focus on everything. But if we're focusing on what we need to be doing, and what we're telling people, we'll have t-shirts here in a minute, we're doing less of this. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to make things a little bit better. And all of that starts with the person looking in the mirror. I know you think that I'm getting out of here on time. Oh, yes, we will. You saw me making all my little notes. I already know how it works. When you're the person organizing, all I do at corporate America is I organize it and I let the team tear it up. Because I can show my skills on doing this, on how this goes. Because the main thing is I want to do what today? And we want to do what today? Because if we do a good job active listening, we're going to leave out of here, half the solutions kind of more clear, and we're all definitely going to feel a little bit more comfortable about what we need to be doing going forward. Fair enough?
Sounds good.
Okay, with that, Mr. Simmons, again, one of our host neighbors and leaders came in. We were going over intro. Share anything you like, sir, about yourself.
Robert Simmons, as he spoke before, I'm a host neighbor. One of the things that I value about the community, especially a community like Grand Rapids, coming from Big Rapids, Michigan, born in Chicago, is I get the diversity of being predominantly Black cities, but also having an exposure to different cultures. And being a part of Season Earners gives me the opportunity to kind of invest in specifically people that look like me, and understanding that there's been a system involved in this whole thing. And yeah, what I came today was really just to support. I really wasn't coming with any real expectations, just really to support reaching out. One of my main things is just building a legacy of being there, being reliable, and today it was kind of a hassle getting here, but it's like, no matter what, I'm gonna be here and try to, invest my energy. That's what we can give, is energy. We may not have the dollars, but energy, showing up, participating, So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And again, I'll say it again, sometimes you gotta find your brothers, right? And for people like me, this young man here is an inspiration to me. Mr. Jackson, I walked into his session. Thank you, sir. Since I left out there, since our phone calls, just thank you. Given me so much that I need right now to connect with somebody that understands where we're at and where we need to be going. Just thank you. And the same thing to you, sir. Just your comments earlier here today, you worked with one of the most special populations in the world to me, who I care about the most, and I can't wait to get on those campuses and do what we can to help you serve your mission. Okay, folks, we gotta do something really quick here, okay? And this is really, really, really tough. But I know this is a room of professionals, so I know we're gonna be able to do this. We've got about another 25 minutes in our session this morning, and again, I promise to stay on time. I will ask for maybe 5 minutes at the end to wrap up. Is that okay with everybody? Making sure everybody else has their time. This is what I'm gonna ask you. Mr. Jackson mentioned one other thing. We came with a gift today that Ms. Williams has for her staff. We're giving this out as a gift. You heard me refer to my brothers over there. And we say that this sheet right here, if you are really interested in equity, diversity, and inclusion and moving our people forward, humanity, this will be worth more than your college degree. And this is what we're going to be giving out to everyone, sharing the incredible history of our country, which many are not aware of, but because of that lack of knowledge, it's causing so many issues. So that's our gift for you today. Please share it. Please tuck it away somewhere that you can refer to it throughout the year. We believe it's magic, and it's really foundational to everything that we're doing here. In the next 5 minutes, here's what I'm going to ask if everyone can do. Look around the room and find somebody, make eye contact with somebody you didn't know before you got here. Make contact with somebody you did not know. It's 10 o'clock now. I'm going to put my timer on here because now we're starting to get critical because we already had a commitment to being on time, and our team knows that we do not mess around. We say about being on time. That's one of the most respectful things we can do. We got 2 very short videos that we want to share with you.
Many people wouldn't want African Americans to eat in a way that we had to stay calm and be peaceful, no matter how terribly they behaved. In training the adult teller, it was me and about 12 other kids. We all wore our best clothes. At the end of the day, the restaurant closed. Anyone could eat there. We were so happy. Finally, in 1964, when I was 14.
So, after this second video, I'll just ask to share a reflection, and then the other thing is, share what your commitment is to change in our community. What are you as an individual willing to do different going forward? I'd love it if you would share that.
We can't address something, so I think that's really important, and as we live our values of equity, I mean, racism is a public health crisis, so it's just telling the truth. And I think that's really important if we are going to heal as a community and if we're going to grow as a community.
Stout also says her department will work with community organizations to make sure that they're prioritizing diversity initiatives.
Some believe that when you make progress, sometimes you take a step forward and 2 steps back. For example, many may not remember, but we did have an African American president here a couple of years ago, right? We did almost have a finalist, female, diverse candidate. So things are changing, and having a historical perspective on things reminds us of that. And so again, please think about a reflection of what you saw in these videos, but more importantly, when it comes to change management, what is your commitment going forward?
From the video, I've seen what I would love to see more of today is us uniting better and working with each other instead of against each other on, jealousy, hate, and all the other things. One thing I'm committed is being that prime example of working with people and being, showing love, just love itself. So.
And that's a leader, that's 1 minute. Thank you, sir. Who's next?
Well, just watching the movies is bringing back too much of the 1964. We can't go back. I mean, Vice President Kamala Harris did it the whole time. And that's what it's looking like. Probably not as far back as having to do sit-ins, but sit-ins at some meetings, things like that. Just, gotta put the work in, gotta put some more work in.
Continue to advocate for the community's needs. Also empower them to learn how to advocate for themselves and others around them. Being Hispanic right now is there's just a lot going on. There is a lot of fear. A lot of the Hispanic community members are just in wrong. They're afraid now. They're afraid to go to work. They're afraid to do their days because of administration and all the nonsense that's happening. But just continue being the environment in the community and advocating for them.
Really, how important politics is. I feel like we hear politics ain't important to the community that all the time, and how people don't vote. Well, just as quickly as they did those sit-ins and Lyndon B. Johnson came with the legislation behind it, we have to be involved. We have to be voting. We have to be running for office, even though we don't feel like we're adequate or, you know what I mean, or have the PhD behind our name. If we're out in the community, we have that legacy for 10, 20 years. Why not?
I would say it brought tears to my eyes to see that. But again, we will not go back to that. Because so we have to understand, just as hard as they pushed others on the other side, whether they were white or whatever, or looked like they were white, or they pushed back too and said, hey, we're not going to do what this government says to do. This is not where the Most High wants us to be. This is not the creator of the universe wants us to be in this anymore. Oh, we're gonna keep going forward. Again, I echo what they said and what the rest of them are about to say too. To be resilient, to be there at those meetings, whether I have the Holy Spirit gives me a word to say or a word not to say, just be silent and listen. I'm going to be there, And I'm gonna tell you, one of the hardest things to do is go to the court system. You may go to these meetings, they're nice and fine, but again, quickly, just be there, no matter what, no fear.
There's a great deal of similarities that I've seen. I come from a small town, Mississippi. My mother comes from Jim Crow South. My father is Cuban, and he left the island not because of Castro, because of Batista. But that's another historical story that we definitely talk about. And what they've seen is kind of like what I'm seeing now, with subtraction of rights, making people feel less than. And what I will do I'll do more listening. Being in the financial industry, it's not all about a check. Spending time, that's more valuable than me cutting a check for $4, $5, $10,000. And also bringing more education to the community, going into places where my peers and my competitors go. So I'll keep doing it, and I won't stop.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
One thing that I took away was actually what you said, going one step forward is a lot of times 2 steps back as well. And that's kind of what I've noticed with the political atmosphere. How can we go from, Barack Obama to just completely the opposite of people hating even more than, so that's so scary to me. But I think it starts with kids and, educating my child, setting an example, educating other children and getting them to, move forward in a better way, what they're growing up in now.
You just hit the $1 billion model that 3 years we've reinforced here. Mother, father, support, and accountability. Every last one of us in here knows that. Now we have a consensus to say that. Mother, father, support, and accountability. Because that's where it starts, and that's that for the most part. Absolutely, and that's our mantra. Mother, father, support, and accountability. So residents learn about seeds, and again, we're not everybody's cup of tea because we're about success and winning. And it takes different habits to do that. That's why our professionals leave our communities and don't come back, because now they have different habits and they're done with fees. It's a shame because some of us believe we're supposed to go get those habits and bring them back to the community. That's why we're bottoms up at seeds. And we tell our residents, until you get your stuff together and tell me what you're doing about your budget, public safety in your home, your kids' school, we're not going nowhere else with you until that's taken care of first. And we're gonna be here with you to make sure it happens. And that's what we know we got some momentum in our community about, and that's why we wanna hold these sessions to end and hopefully start with that mantra right there. Thank you for making sure I cover one of the most important notes of the day. Yes, sir.
Good. As a new American, seeing the video in the past 60s, I have seen a discrimination in true color or definition through form of definition of discrimination. So it hurts my character. Seeing myself not drinking water, we had people drinking water. But on the other side, I have seen people not giving up resilience. That resilience that brings change. So my commitment is to showing love, but still standing on what is right. That's what I like.
Awesome. We tell people to even get here took trauma for the mom and the baby. And then I turn around to the youth in college that I talk to, and the parents always ask me, how do you get them to be quiet so much? I tell them, listen to them and then start asking them questions so they can show you what they don't know. So around me, they don't like to talk. Because they know I'm gonna have another question, and it's normally gonna make them feel like what? They don't know what they're doing. I took my son to get gas the other day up in Canada, finally give him his license plate. He's in physics and math in college, and I tell him every day, you make sure you understand where that first education comes is right here. Because I'll school your mathematician professor too. They don't have half of the diversity off the bat. Thank you very much, because pain and success and change hurts. And without the greatest sacrifices, the greatest rewards. So when I look at the host neighbors and they're asking for me, Regional, please just keep it suave, keep it smooth. I'm like, good, if that's where you want to stay. Because change is going to hurt, probably going to take some friction, and Seeds is out here to lay some friction down. Okay? Yes, sir.
It's sad just to see where things have came from. And I'm happy that things have improved to a certain extent, but yet there's still much more work to be done. And just seeing and listening to my residents and what they go through, I want to be able to help them understand that there is hope. And I think the biggest thing for me is to continue to show up and be there. That's what it is.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jackson.
So quick reflection on that history, just listening to the perspective of the young folks involved, and one, the strategy, and we don't spend a lot of time talking about the training aspect, like how much went into the preparation. It's not just like show up at the restaurant and sit down and hope it goes well. Actually training and preparing for that moment, and the intentionality behind it, using the kids, right? Not using, but I mean using the children strategically, and just looking at that, and then for her perspective, going from the south to the north, and the lack of physical segregation, which at that time I think was a piece that was the most obvious piece, right? The proximity and being able to integrate, but it's also that hidden veil, even within the proximity, you still be right next to the people and be treated differently. So it's different layers and levels to the segregation sometimes. And so my commitment to that is, as a person who is tied to an institution that has ability to make systemic changes and has systemic influence, to also hold that institution accountable where I can, as a person on the inside, use my personal influence to hold the institution accountable to do what they should do. So that's my commitment.
We often ask for public safety, where we have in education, we have more diverse representatives in those systems in the world, but they still rely on residents to have to fall in the street when stuff really goes down. So that's why I spent a career in corporate America battling with them, telling them, but you're not going to make the difference when stuff goes down, so you better keep your nose to the ground. Make sense? And it was amazing that for $1, people would sell. I understand you have to have a job. I'm not saying that, but you can do something better than that. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I guess for me, it brought back a lot of memories, because again, I was here in Grand Rapids in the 50s, walking down this Division Street, just living over here on Ione and having white kids holler out their car, the N-word and what have you. But more important than that is that we're living in the new Jim Crow right now. Donald Trump is trying to usher in the old Jim Crow. I mean, very much so. And and we've got to understand that, and how do we really get the people involved. And one of the things that I'm going to do, I have a meeting scheduled for May the 4th. I'm meeting with 6 churches, mainly white churches, that are willing to work in this area. But how can we get the black churches? If you remember Martin Luther King, what really helped is getting the black churches engaged. And we haven't been able to do that. So I'm hoping to embarrass the black churches by bringing white churches in. And that's really critical. We got to get the churches engaged. I mean, they should be attending these meetings where we can get residents right now, and encouraging residents and their members, to attend and really support Seeds. So that's my plan moving forward. Not going to let the new Jim Crow that Donald Trump is trying to bring in.
Right. Well, really, the new water down,
Mr. Mason, we're on the street. I think you guys are going to do it here. Yes, sir.
Yeah, one of the things that I want to focus on is just like Aaron mentioned, with the generational. Just letting our parents know you're the representation of your kids. Your kids are seeing what you're doing. So just empowering them, letting them know that you can do more, and you can do better to show your children that they can do more and that they can do better. So it's just reaching for, every possible opportunity that they can have. And so what I'm going to focus on is just being there for them and empowering them and make sure that I can do what I can to help them to reach that.
And I'm looking forward to walking arm in arm with you in some of the work that we're talking about. And thank you again for this invite and getting me connected with this wonderful young lady right here.
I think for me, just listening or just being calm and just listening and just hearing them out and not coming to the table with my own agenda, but just being more open to listening and being a better role model, and just being open to change. I don't know. I think about something that Joyce tells us always, like we set the standards, like don't be like someone else. You rise above that, you set the standards. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna set the standards and be a better role model to my seniors and listen to them.
I think for me, I love the training approach that they did because it could have been a totally different outcome. Had they went, let's think about like how many years would we have had to wait had they not taken that approach to get, somewhere that we will all be comfortable. So with that training, I said that from now on, I'm gonna actually train myself before I have crucial conversations and interact with others. By being open-minded and a good listener and also using my voice.
That's the main advice I told my executives that I would work with. I would, like I said, I got a reputation for 20 years. I was just he will handle the conflict no matter what level. And half the time all I did, and I made sure I knew the first meeting, I have to give this person at least an hour. And I would sit there but after that, every meeting after that, they already knew where my mode was. By the time I listened to this person for an hour, by the time I just listened to the other one, half of the issues were solved. And then I put them together. We walked out of there, and people still to this day are called. How did you do that? How did you do that? Thank you. Now that's the secret, and you already know it. But then I would practice my conversations too.
Right.
Yeah. Every day before I come here. Last night, I'm in the mirror with family members, practicing in front of them, making sure I'm coming off the way I want, putting in the work because I know people will feel it and show it. Just like we're right on schedule here. Yes, ma'am.
So my reflection on the film is first, I get excited. And I'm excited because of the teachability those youth had. And the fact that they were able to consume and apply. So apply is my favorite word if you all haven't noticed. Application is important. And so they did just that. So it's a sad scene that anyone had to do that, but it was exciting to see the outcome. What am I committed to? My biggest commitment right now is to the staff. It is to them. My commitment to helping them and allowing them to help me, because without them, I couldn't do what I do. And that means I'm helping them, I'm helping the residents, and my other part of that commitment is to try to reach higher and get people to understand the process in which we're utilizing so that they too can become better listeners.
Outstanding. And I hope you felt that this was a worthwhile exercise for us to give you an example of how we're able to move people and organizations forward in this area. Folks, and kind of wrapping up, I want to make sure we did hear you. Some of the expectations were about, completing change. How do you do that? Have we learned some things about how you do that, right? They require consistency, a clear plan. And the upfront piece that I find a lot of people missing, they didn't listen well enough from the get-go. So now we're halfway down the plan. People are getting frustrated. They should have known because they had to listen. How many times, Greg and Ms. Williams, did I call you before or reach out to you before this session today on a Sunday? Yeah, right.
Emails.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, because again, outwork, putting in the extra work, all the little details, the listening up front, and continuing to do that over and over and over. That's fatiguing for a lot of people, and everybody's not built for that. So you just got to find the right people who really believe in that, and they'll show you. You don't have to talk somebody into it. Support and ideas, support and how do we support each other together? We support each other. People ask us at C's all the time, what's the plan? What's the plan? What's your mission? That's where we're starting. And then the plan is made organically together. Because we know how to do what we do. So within 3 years, a company that was supposed to have their doors closed, we're going to build 13 to 15 new homes here while everybody is still talking about building homes. And no, they are not land trust. These are going to be new homes for new homeowners at price points that we try to get it more in our community, but there's some legal things here, but we're going to fill up one of the whole blocks on Alexander Street. Yes, that's public. While everybody's talking, find better leaders in your community. I can't go to many more of these meetings, listen to the people talk about something. I'm traumatized. And I'm like, I'll go to work, please. But then they think that you're not a partner. No, it's just that we're not lowering our standards. Our people deserve the best. When it comes to public safety, we were receiving 3 years ago some of the most significant public safety funding from the city than anybody. Within 3 years, I doubled it. Now guess they want to do with it. One step forward, too bad. Because they thought we were messing around. No. We told you we're going to be friends with everybody and call out when we see problems. So just because you're our friend doesn't mean that we're going to put our hands up if we see you do something that's not appropriate. They don't like that. So now we have to fight for that money back. Mm-hmm. Health and wellness. This is the main thing that we created here. It's organic. We call it the new Model T. The new Model T for moving humanity forward around critical conversations. I gave you a gift, and I share with you survey results that we've been getting from these sessions. And this is what's really gotten a lot of people's attention. It just shows over 100%, 90% of people who go through these. When you fill out the survey, I'll be interested to see yours, but the numbers have been really, really surprising. And we've been talking about stuff much more sensitive than this with police officers, residents, and others. We talked about empowering residents, how important it is to listen and understand them before we can think about empowering them. We talked about follow through on change management. Again, it's not easy. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it. So if you're going through things, join the crowd. Look at what the world is going through right now. It's happening all the time, every time. And the people who normally are best at it are the ones that understand. And emotion is probably not the time I need to be thinking. Wait until I get myself together. And that's why we also try to teach our kids in our sessions and songs, stop. Just stop first, especially when you're not feeling okay. But our health and wellness, this is the core concept of it. Listening to people is one of the most respectful things that you can do to another person. Not getting people in a room who are obviously maybe seeing things a little different. I'm not going to start a conversation in conflict. I'm going to start it by let's listen. And what happened again? And then we're hearing, oh, that's what you felt, and that's how you interpret it. We're just not taking the time to communicate. And then by the time we do, we've let it build up. Now we're emotional. No, I'm on it all the time. That's why Derek on the host neighbor and family upset at me yesterday because this is Sunday, and I'm still calling asking about business. About the land. There, this is my brother though. He'll get upset with me. But I just want somebody who's going to do it in a way that I want to hear it. I'm like, yeah, 3 years later, I want somebody who's going to, we go back and forth, but that's honesty. Right. Because he knows, and he'll give me that because he knows how I feel about the family, that there's no other neighborhood association he can call at any time. I guarantee you I'll be there. That's different. So these are the things, how we benefit from each other. We answer that question? Did we answer that question, folks? Yep. People who have to work with, and how do we work with people who we are trying to move forward, like many of your residents, right? There's a reason why they're acting that way as a leader. Your job is to find out why. That's what I have to do all the time. I just get lashed all week long, but I just make sure I'm here at the meeting for the team. That's just how it works. Make sense? Were there any expectations not met? Or that we didn't answer? Folks, thank you again very much for allowing us to come in and share this little sample of what we feel is a tool, a vehicle that we can use effectively to significantly impact change. Thank you for your time. Sorry we went over a little bit this morning, but we look forward to the next steps with you. Thank you, folks. Thank you very much.